Hello, my name is Michelle Evangelista, and in my study, I am testing the effect of beta-nicotinamide mononucleotide, or NMN, and vibroacoustic therapy, or VAT, in mitigating cell proliferation in SIR2-mutated Saccharomyces cerevisiae. According to the American Cancer Society, in 2024, over 2 million new cancer cases and over 611,720 cancer deaths are projected to occur in the United States. These numbers are outrageously high for just one country alone. Both VAT and NMN could possibly be a new, effective treatment that could be implemented in the medical field. By further investigating the lesser-known details on how both of these two possible treatments work, significant progress can be made in improving our society's medical field and practices. NMN is a direct precursor of nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, which is involved in the regulation of many physiological and metabolic reactions in the body. NMN indirectly affects cellular DNA repair and metabolic pathways while also being very essential for maintaining tissues and dynamic metabolic equilibrium, promoting a healthy aging process. A previous study done from Mr. Zhang and colleagues showed that high dosages of NMN causes ferroptosis, which is a programmed cell death that depends on iron. This suppresses the growth of cancer. This served as one of the foundations of my study. Furthermore, worldwide, the elderly population has been progressively rising. Therefore, the demand for an anti-aging health product is being thoroughly researched, making this a very current research topic. Vibroacoustic therapy is the non-invasive form of music therapy whose vibrations are thought to regenerate the cellular function of aging, stressed, or injured cells. It is a straightforward approach that doesn't require medication or any drugs, showing the potential for a non-pharmacological treatment for cancer. Stimuli can be delivered on various devices that are based on sound-induced sinusoidal waves. It works by using low-frequency sound waves that physically affect the membranes of our cells. Vibroacoustic therapy is an exceptional treatment plan that can assist human stress, which has been increasingly more difficult for individuals to manage currently. For example, according to a Stanford Medicine study, learning to cope with stress in a self-nourishing way can be an important factor in aiding the cancer treatment process, increasing chances for recovery. SIR-T1 may have a suppressive activity in tumor cell growth by suppressing a transcription factor playing a central role in the regulation of innate and adaptive immune responses and carcinogenesis. The SIR2 mutation, or knockout strain in yeast, will enhance our project and its validity in representing an approach that better represents cancer cells. Yeast SIR2 gene is homologous to human SIR-T1 and therefore has been used to study all different diseases, including prostate cancer, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and diabetes mellitus. In addition, SIR2 is part of various metabolic signaling pathways. Therefore, studying a mutation in this gene can reveal how disruptions in these pathways may contribute to cancer progression. Knocking out the SIR2 gene, which is responsible for maintaining the genomic stability, will make the yeast mimic cancer's instability. Also, the loss of SIR2 in yeast shortens replicative lifespan and alters cellular responses to stress. This behavior can mimic how cancer cells bypass normal aging and stress checkpoints to sustain proliferation. It has been shown that a SIR2 mutation, also known as the silent information regulator 2, will cause the yeast to have characteristics more like cancer cells. The question that guided my research was how does beta-nicotinamide mononucleotide, or vibroacoustic therapy, or both in combination, affect cellular proliferation in SIR2-mutated knockout yeast cells? I hypothesized that if NMN and VAT is administered to Saccharomyces cerevisiae, then the rates of cellular proliferation should decrease. I started my project by sterilizing all my materials that weren't pre-sterilized. I also made my vibroacoustic therapy apparatus in which I administered the treatment to the 20 test tubes that received VAT. Then I created an agar medium using a rich YUD broth pack that I sterilized in the autoclave and poured into multiple petri dishes to create a stock. 3 days later, I inoculated the yeast, both the parent and knockout strain, into 40 different test tubes labeled by experimental and control groups, different treatments, and different strains. Then the next day I diluted my yeast to 0.1 absorbance. In order to calculate my dilutions, I had to use the formula C1V1 equals C2V2. Once I diluted all the yeast down to 0.1 absorbance, I was able to begin administering the treatments. Here's a visual of the agar stock that I made. To administer VAT to all the yeast that we had to undergo the specific treatment, both the knockout strain and parent strain, they went in a test tube rack that was placed inside a glass tank slightly filled with water. Then a bone-conducting speaker was attached to the tank to send vibrations through. Based off previous research, the effect of sound waves on yeast growth, I decided to do 100 Hz of vibracoustic therapy at the max volume in 4 15-minute increments. In between each of those increments, I vortexed the yeast to keep them in a constant state of suspension, and then administered the VAD again. I did this for 1 hour per day. To administer the NMN, I created a solution by using a syringe filter for sterilization. Then I added that into the liquid broth mediums of all groups that were undergoing the NMN treatment. Then to collect data, I used a spectrophotometer and I set the optical density to 600. And then before and after administering the treatments at around 9 a.m. and 1 p.m., I collected the data for 4 consecutive days post 0.1 absorption. Here's an image of how I set up my vibracoustic therapy apparatus. And here's also an image of my spectrophotometer vortexer that I used. My independent variable will be my treatments, the NMN and vibracoustic therapy, and my dependent variable will be the SIR2 mutated yeast cells proliferation rates. The control groups will be the parent strain and mutated strain that each had different treatments. 5 will be receiving no treatments, 5 will be receiving vibracoustic therapy, 5 will be receiving the combination, and then the mutated, there will be 5 receiving no treatment. In my experimental group, it will be the mutated yeast, and it's just receiving 5 with vibracoustic therapy, 5 with NMN, and 5 receiving the combination. Here are all the materials that I've used. These next 8 graphs are the percent absorbance that I collected over 71 hours for each group. So here are the parent strains, and here are the knockout or deletion strains. As you can see on this chart, the t-test shows that since none of my numbers are below 0.05, my results were statistically insignificant. There are multiple limitations as to why my project may have been proven to be statistically insignificant. My yeast strains both came in very late due to a delay in the delivery, causing me to only check the growth rates twice a day. In addition, there could have been possible yeast contamination that wasn't visible, even though I was very careful by working by an open flame and making sure everything was sterilized. Something still might have happened, causing a contamination in either my liquid broth or my agar plates. Finally, one of my main possible limitations was that since it's visual how my yeast numbers declined, this could have possibly happened over various reasons, including nutrient depletion or high alcohol concentration, and this is produced by the yeast itself during fermentation, which I think was the main limitation since the yeast had a strong alcohol odor, and more. Since one of these reasons most likely occurred, that led to my insignificant results. My next step for this is to continue the same project but trying to fix where I believe my sources of error came from. First, I want to collect my data in 3 different periods instead of 2 in order to collect more data. Also, I will be growing the yeast directly in the glass cuvettes I use in this project instead of diluting them into the cuvettes. In addition to this, I will not be making yeast stock on agar plates and then inoculate the yeast to liquid broth to avoid contamination. I will just be making a liquid broth growth medium inside the cuvettes. In addition, since our classroom equipment is old, I may use a biophotometer instead of a spectrophotometer, since that one is more updated, and I could still get the optical density of 600. I'll also be doing more statistical tests, not just one t-test, but also an ANOVA. Finally, since I couldn't do this because of time restrictions, I would like to perform a DNA comet assay, which is a single-cell gel electrophoresis, in which an individual can view whether or not there has been DNA damage to a single cell from apoptosis, which is also known as programmed cell death, or cytotoxicity, which is toxicity to the cells. These are my references. Thank you so much for your time.